Good evening and welcome to the Badger Politic. I'm Scott Stearns.
Hi, it's Paul.
Hey, Paul. How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
It's been a few weeks since we've gotten together.
It has been. My Uncle Rick heard our last couple shows. He was pretty pissed that he got cut out of one of the more recent ones. So he rumored that he might be stopping by.
Oh, yeah?
A little later, yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on.
So we got to cover our stuff pretty quick before he walks in.
I'd like to hear his opinion.
Really? You would like to?
Why not?
I mean, I hear it every Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty rough.
I think most people do hear their Uncle Rick.
I wonder if he got one of those T-shirts that said he'd rather be a Russian than a Democrat.
Yeah, that's a thing. So,
right?
How do you feel about that?
Well,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the right is having bonanza right now, but they're not necessarily tonight with the election results.
Yeah, so there were some special elections tonight. Ohio is the most notable example, and I mean it looks like the Republican is going to pull it out. Troy Balderson is currently leading Danny O'Connor in a district that Trump carried by how much, Paul?
11 points.
By 11
points. Yeah, I almost said, almost slurred a little like Uncle Rick. I almost said election results. That's kind of gross. But anyway.
So 11 points, I mean.
Election. So 11 points to the Democrat, or to
Hillary Clinton. And Troy Balderson is currly winning, but it's 50.2% to 49.3%.
Let's clear this out. It was 11 points against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
So Trump won by 11 points. The Democrat is losing by 1 point now. So it's a 10-point swing.
Yeah.
So that would be more than enough to win the election for Scott Walker, or to beat Scott Walker.
I mean, basically, the Republican is currently leading by just over 1,700 votes.
The Democrat hedged on whether he'd vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Which was one of the things that they were able to paint, him as too much of a partisan Democrat in the Republican district. So,
but it's pretty notable, and this is a special election that's being held in August. These candidates are also going to be in a rematch.
So they get a rematch
come November. This is just to fill a seat for a Republican that resigned to do a different. To do a different job, so that's notable. I mean, if that's any indication about what things are going to look like come November.
Well, in that race is a lot like, say, the Paul Ryan seat. Mm-hmm. It's about 11 points. Republican is what the Paul Ryan seat is.
Right.
Maybe 9 points Republican. Right. So it would show that the first district that Randy Bryce or Kathy Myers would win. We'll talk about the Wisconsin primaries in a few minutes.
Yeah.
It would show that either one could be competitive.
Yeah.
I think it shows the Missouri election results tell me a lot.
Yeah. What do you know about Missouri?
So Missouri had a right to work referendum. So the state passed right to work with all these popular Republican politicians. What do? The first thing they do is try to destroy union power.
Yeah.
In Missouri,
this is what we did back here in Wisconsin 2 years ago.
Right, and much about the same level as Wisconsin. Missouri has only 8.7% of workers in a union.
Okay.
Like in Wisconsin, somewhere around, I think, 8 or 9% too. Just by comparison, 10 years ago, Wisconsin was about 15 or 16% of workers were in a union.
So it's been cut pretty significantly.
The big blow was Act 10, but then right to work too.
Yeah.
It might be around 10% just to be safe, but it's been cut at least by a third, if not more.
Okay.
And so in Wisconsin, we've lost these battles, but we've mostly lost them in terms of politicians who stand against or for right to work winning.
Yeah.
The thing is that Walker always said he was against it until he
signed
it.
He wasn't. He didn't say he was against it. He hedged his bets, and he was saying it wasn't something that he was actively.
He said he wouldn't sign it because it wouldn't make his desk.
Right. He basically was.
He said it wasn't going to happen in his term, and then it happened right before he ran for president.
Yeah.
Happened right after he won his second term. That's why he lost the operating engineers now.
I mean, we always kind of knew that it was a thing that he supported.
If you're
it wasn't a thing he wanted to campaign on because he thought it was probably
if you're a
net
negative.
Insider,
he did the same thing on Act 10.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Democrats refused to campaign against Act 10, which was really weird because in Ohio, they had Act 10 too, but they called it Act 5 or whatever, SB 5.
Right.
And they ran a referendum on the issue, and the liberals, or labor people, I should say, won it 60-40.
Yeah, well,
then we had a
the
recall,
laws are different in Ohio in that they were able to overturn it. So
they were able to overturn it 60-40. We had to have a recall.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Democrats ran away from Act 10.
Yeah.
Because they got some polling showing it was maybe popular or something like that, which made no sense to me at all because it failed like a lead balloon in Ohio. Now we see Missouri 2-1.
Yeah.
Right to work failing. And Missouri is a very conservative state.
Yeah.
And 2-1, people decide, even though only 8% of people are in the union, 2-1, they voted to support unions, basically. And that tells me that Democrats need to change their message. They need to actually be more openly pro-labor.
Yeah.
People want unions right now. I think they feel like institutions are failing, and unions are one way that... I mean, I was just at a meeting today in Slinger with the union members. Slinger is one of the most conservative parts of Wisconsin. And these people are pretty conservative people, but they like having their union.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my point is that unions, though, are generally popular. And Democrats, which are clearly more aligned with unions, don't seem to be willing to run on a pro-union message.
Right.
And I wonder why that is when the chips are down, the union always wins the vote.
I understand it. I mean,
2-1? You'd vote again. I mean, you're winning the issue 2-1 in Missouri. Why wouldn't you run on that then?
Well, because the difficult...
Because you don't want to win?
No, the difficult...
Okay, just tell me what the reason...
The difficult choice is that most people aren't in unions. So there's a risk factor there.
That's true. Like in Missouri, most people aren't in unions. You got 2-1.
Obviously, people would like to be.
Right. So to say you're pro-union, how does that hurt a Democrat?
Well, that's a valid critique. What I would say is,
Walker, or actually Trump, to his credit, first of all, Walker refused to say he would be anti-union, even in his first term when he ran.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always a bait and switch, divide and conquer. And then the Democrats were too wimpy to say, "Hey, we're for the unions." They always try to dance around it, like they think they've got some secret message, and they've been running the secret message for years in the state, and they're not winning anything.
So wait, I mean,
the last time
bring it back home. I mean, bring it back to Wisconsin. I mean, would you say that any of the Democratic candidates running for governor against Walker have made Act 10 and or right to work a significant issue of their campaign?
I think Malin Mitchell is.
Okay.
He's the president of the firefighters union.
Yeah, no, and
that's pretty clear. He says he would,
and that's valid. I mean,
he would repeal it.
That's valid because I mean, the firefighters union and the police were exempted from Act 10, and
Calder Royce spoke out against school choice, which is obviously seen as very pro-union for teachers.
Sure.
Not necessarily anybody else.
Right, but I mean, I don't know that it's been at the forefront of the campaign like it was a few years ago. I guess is my point.
Where was it though in Act 10? When did Tom Barrett run and had when he was running?
Well, it was a reaction, wasn't it? I mean, there was all the activism when Act 10 became a thing.
Can I finish my question though? I mean, I
know where you're going. I'm just saying like.
No,
I think the recall was a reaction to it, and then therefore the candidacy of Tom Barrett was a reaction.
Implicitly, when did Tom Barrett explicitly bring up opposition to Act 10?
I don't know that he made it the linchpin of his campaign.
Why not? It was unpopular as a law.
Yeah.
So was recalling the governor was unpopular, but there was a reason we were recalling the governor.
Yeah.
I think what he tried to do was pretend that voters would have amnesia and think, "Oh, it's not about the union thing."
Yeah.
But the less they talked about it, the less genuine the more disingenuous they seemed, and the less trustworthy they seemed. You know. So, I mean, Obama was a very pro-labor president,
right?
And campaigned on the strength of labor, and it worked both times really well.
True. So, I mean, that having been said, we're a week away from the gubernatorial primary for the Democratic nomination for governor. So where do we think things stand, Paul? How do we assess the current Democratic candidates for governor?
Do you want me to say who should win or who?
Well, I know who you want to win. I mean,
yeah, I think Malin Mitchell, because of what we were just talking about, is the best chance to beat Walker.
But
by far.
So, but given where things are shaping up, given the ads that are on TV, and where the money is going, where do we think things are headed?
Well, I would predict. I mean, if I had to bet, I'd probably have to bet on Evers. He's ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been the favorite all along. It's just because people have voted for him before, and he's got the name. However, I mean, there's obviously a number of people that are interested in other candidates, whether it be Mike McCabe for the activist bunch, or Calderoy's, or Millen. I think those are big names.
I think Evers will come out somewhere in the high 20s.
Yeah, then it's just a matter of whether or not one of those others can succeed.
Right, Mitchell and Royce will be somewhere between the high teens and the very low 20s.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who will get more. Mitchell, it'll be whether probably Royce gets. Then it would probably be in second. My guess is, but I'm not sure because she has such limited appeal outside of what I would argue as kind of the more like the isthmus liberals. Like, I would say that Kelda Royce, and I like her a lot, but I'm one of those people that she appeals to, frankly.
Right.
She appeals to people, well-educated, primarily white voters, women certainly, but also many progressive men too. But unfortunately, her appeal is limited to about 10 zip codes in the state of Wisconsin. It literally is. There are 5 in Dane County and 5 here in Milwaukee County.
Right. You don't think upstate they're
I can't think of
knocking down doors for Kelda
Royce?
Royce?
I mean, she might have a few volunteers here and there, but I don't think she's got a following or a real appeal outside. I mean, seriously, it's probably 6 zip codes in Madison. So all the ones, there's like 2 or 3 on the isthmus, and then the ones, the first one next on the east side, and then maybe 1 or 2 on the west side. And then in Milwaukee, she appeals to 53211, 53202, and 53207. And then maybe the liberal portion of 53219, and that's not even, 117. But that includes a lot of wealthy Republicans who will say, "Oh, screw her! I'm for Walker."
Well,
I mean, she's too liberal.
I kind of feel like it's just Evers is depending on.
She won't turn out the inner city base, is my fear against Walker, and I think that'll be a big problem.
I feel like Evers' success is kind of depending on the vote amongst the others being diluted amongst. So you look at Dane County, it's going to be the primary vote is going to be diluted amongst Kelda Royce, Malin, and the others in the race. I mean, Matt Flynn will probably do okay in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
but I think Malin will do well in Milwaukee as well. But is that enough for him to succeed?
Flynn and McCabe will have between 10 and 15%.
Yeah,
and then I honestly think that Evers probably gets 30 or just a little over,
and that's enough.
I'd put Royce at about 20. I'd put
Mitchell
between 15 and 20.
So we're saying that Evers is probably the favorite at around 30%.
Easily. But and that's a problem too, because again, it's the I don't know if he has particular appeal in any zip code. Mm-hmm. He may, as kind of his school marmish kind of personality, have a little bit of an appeal as a kind of a normalcy, boring is good kind of thing.
Sure.
Education thing. Yeah. That might actually work in his favor a little bit with swing voters. But can you turn out the massive votes you might need in Milwaukee or Madison, assuming Walker brings his A game and has very... we look at this Ohio result. It flipped Democratic by 10 points. Mm-hmm. Walker won by 5.5 points last time. So that would put, if that same flip were to happen here statewide, we'd be winning the governorship by 4.5 points. That's not a lot.
Right.
And let's say Walker really is a really strong politician, which he is. Let's say he makes it up to a virtual tie. Well, then it comes down to who gets the turnout.
Well, yeah.
So this is not I would say this is not unlikely that the race comes within 2 percentage points on either side.
I think regardless of who the nominee is, I think we're kind of depending on the fact that it's going to be a close race. It's not going to be.
I don't think we're depending on it. I think we can make an educated guess that it'll happen.
If we're going to win, I think we're depending on it because Walker's a savvy politician. I
actually think Mitchell would have enough of a pull at the base, plus enough crossover appeal up north.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's his, in a weird way, that's his base too, is like the operating engineers and the people behind the Scott Holes ads and all that.
Sure.
I actually think Mitchell would do just as well up north as any Democratic candidate, but much better in areas like Milwaukee. So I think Mitchell probably is the candidate where you might actually put some distance between him and Walker. He might actually win a fairly convincing victory. I mean, he could win by 5. I could see him beating Walker by 5 points. I can't see any of the other candidates doing that. Maybe Roy.
I don't know. Obviously, the reason why Evers would win the primary to begin with is people that vote in the non-presidential elections. They know him, and
not in a general election.
Yeah, but I mean, he does have the name recognition, so. I mean, he does.
We're just talking with somebody in the other room who is going to vote on Tuesday, and he doesn't know who Evers is.
I know, but what I'm saying
is he's
one statewide, is what I'm saying.
Yes, among a very narrow group of voters.
Okay, no, that's fair.
It may be wide enough to win this primary.
That's fair,
but it may not be enough to beat Walker.
I may be interested to see what your Uncle Rick is going to do.
I don't know where Rick's going to vote for any of them, but
probably not.
But I think that I'm pretty sure Rick will be sticking with Walker this year.
Probably. But doesn't Walker have a primary opponent? He's not.
I don't know if Rick follows it that closely.
Okay.
You know what? I mean, okay. I saw. I'm going to need a drink. I'm going to go get a drink.
All right. No, that's fair.
I can't talk. Without a.
No, I mean, we're about a week. We're a week away.
Don't worry.
We're gonna do a post-mortem next week, and
real quick,
we'll see where things go.
What are the chances, Scott? So what are the chances overall beating Walker? 0 to 100. So
it depends on what we're talking about.
I'm saying what are the
chances if we're talking generic reelect, or if we're talking about specific matchups.
No, I don't care about.
Well, that changes the game.
Assuming,
that's different.
Okay,
those are two
fine.
different
what
questions.
Are the chances that he beats Tony Evers?
Chances that he beats Tony Evers, I would give probably it's a push. It's a 50-50 matchup. It's a late.
What are the chances he beats Malin Mitchell?
I'd give Malin the edge.
Okay,
51-49.
I would say we have a 55 to 60% chance of beating Walker.
I just think that Walker is not to be disrespected as a politician.
He isn't to be disrespected. I'm just saying
he is going to pull out all the stops, and I don't think we've seen.
I would argue a generic.
I don't think we've seen all the dirty that he's going to pull out.
Of course we haven't, but I would argue that a generic.
That is the wild card that I'm kind of.
Well, the question is, does it work?
It may.
I mean, it worked against Mary Burke, and it worked against Tom Barrett.
Yep.
This is maybe a different animal. Now, it probably works against Tony Evers, though. That's my fear. It probably wouldn't work against Malin Mitchell.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Tony Evers, despite being Captain Excitement, he can be a hothead. So he might have the ability to retort against something that comes out against.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I don't know.
I love your optimism. I really do.
Why is it optimism?
It is optimism.
I don't consider myself optimistic.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that Walker's going to lose, I think that's optimistic.
I didn't say he's going to lose. I think that there's a pretty good chance he could lose.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Close. I'm saying there's a 60% chance that he could lose.
60% is a high number.
No, it isn't.
There
was a 60% chance that there was a 70% chance Trump was going to lose, and he won. I'm not saying he's going to get 60. That a Democrat's going to get 60% of the vote. I'm saying he's going to get. I would say a Democrat probably doesn't get more than 51 or 52% of the vote.
Yeah,
but I'm saying there's a 60% chance that he's beatable.
Okay.
that he's going to be beaten.
All right.
I would say any other Republican, they would have more like a 90% chance of losing.
Okay.
Like I would say, okay, so for instance, Kevin Nicholson and Tammy Baldwin.
Right.
I think Baldwin has an 80% chance of winning.
Oh, I think Baldwin is probably the most likely incumbent to be reelected in this election. There's definitely more likelihood that Baldwin gets reelected than Walker, for sure.
I think she gets
in a year like this.
I think she gets 80. I think she didn't get 80% of the vote. I think she probably gets 55% of the vote.
Probably,
but I think that I would say it's an 80% chance she wins.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is a generic Democrat against Walker, a 60% chance they win.
Okay.
But they're probably only getting 51% of the vote.
Okay.
Or 52%.
Right.
I don't think that's optimistic. I think that's quite realistic. I mean, that means there's still 2 and 5. There's still
it's
a very
optimistic
good chance.
given history, is what I'm saying.
Well, you have 3 priors, and all in better Republican years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are getting the doom and gloom already. They could see all the ads. They think,
right.
And it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy.
No, you're right.
It's a little like people say, well, the Brewers will never catch up to the Cubs this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not. Maybe the Brewers might second half collapse and miss the playoffs entirely. Because if you look at your priors, well, that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're not going to make the playoffs, though? What are the chances the Brewers make the playoffs?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, but look at all your priors. That was pretty good last year. It was pretty good in 2014.
Yeah,
they didn't.
But they're in the wild card. You know, they're still
they're
still hanging with the Cubs.
The wild card was available in 2014.
Yeah,
it was available in 2017.
True.
They didn't make it happen then. So why do you think it's going to happen now?
Just given their momentum.
I would argue that if you look at tonight's election results, Democrats should have enough momentum that they would be slight favorites to pull out the governor.
No, that's fair.
I don't think that's optimistic or unrealistic at all.
Well, given the last few elections, I still consider it optimistic.
Right, okay, but given the 2014 Brewers season and given the 2017 Brewers season, then I think it's unrealistic to say this team's going to make the playoffs.
Okay, well, okay.
I mean, they're no better in the standings today than they were this time last year or in 2014.
But you could say their players are better.
Oh, really? Well, how do you know? I'm just looking at the priors.
Right.
I mean, I could say that Walker, I think, is a weaker politician today than he was in 2014.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Well, yeah.
He has major constituencies that he's lost since then. I guess that's my point, is that I just don't know how, really?
I'm hopeful. I'm right there with you. I just
think of this group. I mean, if you want to be part of a self-fulfilling prophecy that he's going to win, then fine. But then maybe, what the hell are we doing?
We'll see.
That's a good, real question. What are we doing?
We'll see what your Uncle Rick thinks. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's checked out. Rick's gone. Rick's gone. he went to the Washington County Fair, but he bought that. He did show me. He had that T-shirt that I'd rather be a Russian than a Democrat.
Yeah. Well, we should bring him in. Maybe we'll bring him in for the postmortem
after
analysis.
The primary. Yeah, we can
primary.
do that. We can do that.
And see what his thoughts are on the governor's matchup.
Yeah, I just think he got tired. He had to go see what was it, Peppermint Permit Patty or whatever. That's his wife. Yeah. All right.
So
I'm kind of relieved he went home. Yeah. Honestly.
So don't forget to vote next week, Tuesday, August 14th.
All right.
I'm right there with you.
What do you give the House? The Democrats the House?
70, 75.
I go a little higher. I'll go 80.
All right.
What about U.S. Senate?
Yeah.
We haven't done that check-in in a while.
Still don't like it. The Democrats have 2/3 of the seats to defend. So, I still don't like the Democrats taking the Senate. I think it's probably quite the long shot.
What percentage?
Oh, probably 30.
5.
Yeah,
I go 5%.
Yeah.
See, I think it's a 90. I guess my argument is that these things actually the probabilities are much higher and more stacked one way or the other.
No, that's fair.
I think it's a 95% chance the Republicans hold the Senate.
Yeah, probably.
I would say I put it out of my mind.
You're probably. I'm not even depending on it at this point. So.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't depend on a 5%.
I mean, if they could take the House, everything's at a standstill.
No, I think it's a House.
It means that Trump and the Republicans cannot do jack shit for the next 2 years until the presidential election, and that's why the House is so critical. So yes, they can. There's one thing they can do, and that's around judges, because the Senate has the sole responsibility for appointing judges and cabinet appointments and things like that. But legislatively, they can't do shit.
Right.
If the Democrats take the House. So that's how critical it is. And it gives the House of Representatives subpoena power so they can do investigations.
All right. So if you think Walker's a fait accompli, then I guess don't show up and vote next week.
What the fuck? No. Go vote.
All right.
And show up and vote in the Democratic primary August 14th at your local municipality.
Everybody loves to pick a loser. So if it's Evers, I think it's just a 50-50 shot of winning.
Yeah.
Calda, pretty close. That maybe a little better. But
you still think that Malin has the best shot
to beat Walker?
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah, I really about 70%.
Okay.
I'd say.
All right.
So I guess when I'm thinking 60%, I'm thinking aggregate of them. So I would say Evers just over 50%, and same with Calda, maybe 55%.
And Mike McCabe.
Maybe a 0% chance that he beat Walker.
Is it just because of the money?
Yeah.
That's my biggest hang up with Mike McCabe. And I mean, I'm right there with people that like Mike McCabe and like everything that he stands for in terms of campaign finance. However, you're up against a guy that's going to spend $10 million.
Yeah, he's not going to. He won't be able to get his message out.
So, I mean, just keep that in mind. If you're somebody who's going to support Mike McCabe, it's climbing a mountain with barefoot, essentially.
Here's an interesting question, which I think does maybe pertain a little bit for the November election. What's the Democratic turnout going to be? Real quick, what do you think about? We didn't talk about Vukmer.
Vukmer versus Nicholson.
So
this is the Republican primary to face Tammy Baldwin, who's the incumbent U.S. Senator, Democrat from the great state of Wisconsin.
I can say very certainly that I would much rather have Tammy face off against Vukmer. I think
it's a very interesting matchup. I mean, Vukmer has the support amongst Republicans in southeastern Wisconsin. Nicholson's strength is outstate. So it's basically Trump country versus kind of traditional Republican country. I mean, I guess I give the edge to Vukmer because I feel like.
No, I think it's going to be Nicholson.
I think the party is consolidating around her. Nicholson doesn't have the traditional support.
I bet you a beer Nicholson pulls it out. Nicholson's going to be the victor. I wish
that's fair.
I think Vukmer would be really easy to beat. Either way, she's probably
more likely to beat Nicholson than Vukmer.
No, I don't
really?
think so. Yeah.
In the year of the woman?
That cancels itself out. There's a lot of literature, too, that the Republicans don't necessarily respond to female candidates.
Fair enough.
I think that, or kind of conservative independents don't. So I think you got Baldwin probably gets 56, 57% of the vote against Vukmer and probably 53 to 55 against Nicholson. Okay. It's a little tighter.
All right. We'll see where things go.
Final thing is turnout. So Scott Ross put up good thing on. He said, "Well, what's the turnout going to be like? Is it going to be like option one, which is the Democratic Attorney General primary in 2006, which was 370,000 votes?
What's the percentage?
Well, it's hard to say what the percentage is.
Well, of the eligible voters, what do we think?
Of statewide eligible voters, both parties?
Yes.
Well, it was like 8%. But only half of voters are likely to be at all Democratic, so it's not really a good comparison.
So do we think it's going to be 8% turnout? And
it'll be high. Well, if it's 16%, then it would be 8% Democratic most likely, because it's about a 50-50 state. You see what I'm saying? I think the percentage is misleading. Raw numbers are better. 370,000.
I would just hope it would be more than that.
He offered 370,000 for the first one.
I mean, we have the U.S. Senate on the ballot. We have the congressional races on the ballot. We have the governor's.
We don't have the
Democrat.
We're talking about the Democratic.
I know, but I mean,
I'm not talking about the Republican.
I would hope it would be higher, but
I'm not talking about the Republican primary. We're talking about just the Democrats only.
Right.
So 370,000.
Yeah.
550,000 in 2002 was the number. Mm-hmm. 670,000 was the total in 2012 between Barrett and Falk.
Right.
And then in 2016 for our president, the primary had 1 million voters. So the question is, which one will it be closer to?
Well,
so the range is 370,000 to 1 million.
I mean, I'd hope it'd be on the higher end, just given where we are. But I mean, I guess we shall see.
Right now, I just recently posted on Facebook. I'm going to 575,000. You want to put a number down?
So you're kind of I'm going to say it's 750.
750. You're going to go higher.
Yep. I will.
All right, I like that. We'll talk that. If it's 750 though, Scott, then I think that's an indication that Walker's in deep shit.
Well, I hope so.
I mean, I hope you're right. I actually don't. If we get 750,000 Democrats through the polls on Election Day next week, then I think it shows the Democratic enthusiasm is high enough that Walker can easily be beaten.
Fingers crossed.
So,
all right, we'll talk about it next week, folks, and we'll take in the numbers and we'll see where we're at once this primary is over. So don't forget to vote August 14th, next Tuesday, and forward.
Or forget to forward.